Good evening. This is Making the Case. I'm Laverne McGee in for Yodit. We begin tonight with the sentencing hearing for the three men who chased down and murdered Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia back in 2020.
As to Travis McMichael. Mr. McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, life without the possibility of parole. Greg McMichael, the court sentences you as follows. Count 1, malice murder, defendant was found not guilty. Count 2, felony murder, life without the possibility of parole. And Mr. Bryan was found not guilty on count 1 and count 2. The court sentences Mr. Bryan to life with the possibility of parole on count 3.
Travis McMichael and his father, Gregory McMichael, will now spend the rest of their lives behind bars without the possibility of parole for their roles in Ahmaud Arbery's murder in Brunswick, Georgia back in 2020. William Roddie Bryan, who recorded Arbery's last moments, was also sentenced to life in prison, but with the possibility for parole. I've got my legal experts with me now to break down everything we saw in court today, and wow, it was quite a day. Criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson and veteran prosecutor and BNC's legal contributor Paul Henderson. Glad to have you both on. I was watching it play by play. We brought it to you live here on BNC. It was quite a sight. Paul, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you at all surprised by anything that you saw today or heard today? I mean, these were mandatory sentences, right?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by the sentence. There were a couple of surprises that I saw in watching it unfold and listening to the testimony and watching the procedure live as it was happening. And I think I've talked about it before. I tend to watch legal occurrings like other people watch sports. So I scream at the TV, I clap, I yell, I hold my breath waiting for things to happen. And one of the things that stood out to me were the comments, the behavior, and the reaction from the judge in today's proceedings. That was, I clapped for him. I felt like my values about the judicial officers were restored from watching him in the courtroom today, talking and explaining things beyond just the procedures about how he personally felt and the records that he made, talking about the sentencing and how it's not the conclusion, it's not full closure, because this is bigger than just the accountability that takes place from this sentencing. I loved that he introduced a minute of silence for folks to force them to think about what Ahmaud Arbery was experiencing as part of this sentence that he did today with the procedure. And I also love that he included, just as a little twist, that extra 20 years on top of the life sentence that will stack concurrently. So it's life plus without the possibility of parole for two of those defendants. That was the moment that soared for me of a sigh of relief, but not complete satisfaction, because there's still more as indicated from this sentence and from this incident.
Paul, I'm so glad you brought up those remarks about the judge, because as I said, I was on the air bringing it to everybody live as it was happening. And I'm not an attorney like the two of you have that expertise. And I was really taken back by hearing what the judge was saying. Sue Ann, I'd love to hear your reaction as well.
Well, the judge was judging today. Judge Walmsley came with what he brought the entire trial. He came with fairness. He came with appropriateness. He came with class. He came with what was needed for such a high-profile case, so racially charged, so important to our community. He came with what was needed. And he knew that all the world was watching, and he did what needed to be done. So absolutely, as I said before, when we discussed this case as it was going on during the 5 weeks, Judge Walmsley absolutely invited to the cookout after the moment of silence in court today. Definitely invited to the cookout, can bring whatever item he wants as well. I was happy because I know Miss Wanda is happy. This case to me represented, the outcome of the case to me represented the strength of a Black mother's love. A mother who was like, I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to let you people turn me away and just tell me what happened to my son was okay. I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to find the right people to help me. So I am happy because I know Miss Wanda's happy. I know Mr. Marcus is happy. I know the Ahmaud Arbery family is happy with what happened. I'm happy that the truth came out. I'm happy that the people that did this are held accountable. I just wish, and I can't help it because I'm a lawyer, I can't help but wish that it didn't take a rally, every single Black pastor in the country to come down there, the Black Panthers to come down there, our entire community to have to be galvanized around the trial, and for everyone to have their eyes on this, for us to have a just, fair, equitable, appropriate verdict. I wish for us to get to this point in a case without having to call on heaven and Jesus and every Black pastor and the entire community to not get something different, better, or special, but to get what is guaranteed to us as American citizens under the Constitution. So that's my kind of, I also wish that Roddie, Bryan, and the McMichaels had showed one tiny scintilla of remorse. Just one little piece.
We're going to talk about that too. It's interesting you say that, Suann, because Wanda, when she was talking about the fact that when she started, they weren't even taking her seriously when she went to officials and was trying to figure this out. And it took all these people, as you're right. In fact, I want to go now and play some of that emotion that we heard in court today as his family made that victim impact statement right before the judge announced the sentences. Let's listen to what Arbery's mother, Wanda Cooper Jones, had to say.
These men deserve the maximum sentence for their crimes. Ahmaud never said a word to them. He never threatened them. He just wanted to be left alone. They were fully committed to their crimes. Let them be fully committed for the consequences. Your Honor, I'm standing here for you as the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, asking you to please give all three defendants who are responsible for the death of my son the maximum punishment in this court, which I do believe is life behind bars without the possible chance for parole. Thank you.
Paul, I don't even understand where this woman got that strength and courage. How did you feel when you heard what the family had to say?
It actually made my stomach tingle, but I get that feeling frequently when I'm in court, when I hear victims speaking from their heart like that. And I was holding, I felt nervous listening to it because I wanted her to say all the right things. And as she was saying all of those right things and checking every single box to make sure that she made the right appeal, to make sure that the judge knew and understood that she was demanding that there be no leniency. I loved that she put it in her words to make it heartfelt and emotional, not just to the audience in the courtroom, but to the judge to be making the decision that he made when he did it. And to me, what stood out when she was talking was how she said, and this was one of the quotes while she was talking, that they could not scare him, that they could not intimidate him, and so instead that they killed him. And that stood out to me, and I loved that she had a forum, that she had this platform to present what she wanted to have happen, and that she is taking an active role as his mother to make sure that what happens to the people that killed him, those defendants, is going to continue to happen, not just in this case, but in the pending federal case as well. I believe that she feels empowered and justified, as we all do, by part of this sentencing, but there's more work to be done. But I was encouraged by hearing her voice and feeling the sentiment that she conveyed in the courtroom today.
Yeah, we all felt it. Suann, I'm wondering, do you think their statements had any type of impact at all on the judge's final decision and what he decided to give both McMichaels the life without parole?
Absolutely. I think so. I went to Brunswick to support the family, and I can tell you from being around Miss Wanda, from being around Mr. Marcus, these are, parents who their whole being and their whole aura based on this tragedy that happened to them is so calm and so peaceful and so just, you can see that they were in a position in their minds that they were ready for justice to be served. They were ready to do whatever it took. They were ready to sit in the courtroom for 5 weeks or 6 weeks or 10 weeks, if it took that long, to make sure that they got justice for their son. And I think that the fact that they gave such powerful victim impact statements, definitely the judge took into consideration. I think even the fact that the state didn't pursue the death penalty had a lot to do with Ms. Wanda and Mr. Marcus saying they didn't want it to be pursued. So I think the fact that the prosecution, the state, considered their wishes throughout was so important and impactful in the sentencing. I think that, you know, now it's just the time for all of us to really look at and focus on what we're hoping to be a very vigorous prosecution by the Department of Justice, because this prosecution is what's going to say the quiet part out loud, which is that we all know this was a racially motivated crime, motivated by racial profiling. Travis McMichael uttered racial slurs over Ahmaud's dead body. So this is going to be the prosecution in which we really get to say, listen, you can't gaslight us and tell us, oh, they were just trying to stop crime in the community and they just saw someone and thought perhaps. No, this is the prosecution where we're going to be able to say this happened to Ahmaud because he was Black and because these guys were racist.
Yeah, the judge even talked about people not taking the law into their own hands. But we have a lot more to talk about. My two legal minds here, my brilliant legal minds, stay with us. We're coming up on a break, and we're going to discuss what we didn't hear, excuse me, in court today. Stay with us. Life behind bars with no opportunity for parole for killing Ahmaud Arbery. That is the sentence handed down to Gregory and Travis McMichael, father and son, and their neighbor, William Roddie Bryan, also got a life sentence, but will have a chance at parole. The sentences are even tougher than the lead prosecutor in the case had asked for when addressing the court today. Back with me is veteran prosecutor and BNC legal contributor Paul Henderson and criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson. Thanks for sticking with us, guys. The lead prosecutor, Linda Dunikowski, explained why the state was seeking life. Let's listen to this.
There's been no remorse shown and certainly no empathy from either man. No empathy for the trapped and terrified Ahmaud Arbery. There was thoughtlessness as to the consequences, thoughtlessness as to the alternatives. There was vigilantism.
Lack of empathy. Sue Ann, how does this factor into their sentencing?
No lies detected. Okay, Linda spoke the truth. I think that them not being remorseful is one of the most critical things in the sentencing. I know that their attorneys kept saying, oh, well, we have this federal thing pending. And trust me, as a criminal defense attorney, I get it. But in a case like this, you have to acknowledge the humanity that there's a loss of life, especially if part of your defense is, I don't think I did anything wrong. I was trying to help. You have to stick with that role. If that's what you're laying, that you're saying, I was just trying to be helpful, then there isn't anything wrong with you expressing remorse. That shouldn't incriminate you. Expressing remorse when you're saying you made a mistake and you thought you were helping your community, there shouldn't be an issue with that. But the problem to me is that they didn't express remorse because they really still, to this day, don't think they did anything wrong. A jury of their own peers, there was only one black person on the jury. A jury of their own peers convicted them, essentially saying what they did was wrong. And they still are not showing any remorse. And that to me is just, it's absolutely maddening.
Yeah, remarkable. Paul, do you think their continued lack of empathy is strategic? That, you know, they're trying to do this on purpose leading up to the federal prosecution's case?
I mean, I don't think so. I think that's just really their own righteous indignation and ignorance that we're seeing. I really wanted them to apologize. I wanted them to be remorseful. I wanted them to be different people, and I wanted them not to have killed this unarmed black man in the street and hunted him down. But that's what happened. I will say that while I was watching that and looking and watching in their face for them to be remorseful, to have an apology, to say something, I did feel encouraged again by the response from their behavior with that extra 20 years that the judge gave them for aggravated assault that was discretionary to tack on top of the life. So you take your lack of apology and you will have plenty of time to think about it while you sit in custody and you prepare for your next case. I will say, separate from the defendants who are scum, who are murderers, who are racists, I did want to hear something from the lawyers themselves. I felt like their behavior representing these defendants was inappropriate. I felt like their comments during the trial were insulting. I was personally offended. I think a lot of people were offended. I wanted them to acknowledge something as part of this sentencing, to explain to the judge that, hey, we were trying to do our job. We thought what we were doing was best. We too are sorry about what happened. I wanted an apology from them as well that didn't come. And to me, when you talked earlier about what was missing from the sentencing, that's exactly what was missing. I would also say, while this judge is invited to my cookout, I did want him to acknowledge his opinion and his judgment about when they removed all of the Black people. And he found that that was prejudicial, but he continued and allowed them to remove the Black people from the jury. I kind of wanted someone to address that or to hear something about it as well. But, you know, onward, upward, another case, more sentencing for these same defendants is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, we're going to talk more about that federal trial in a moment, but quickly, I want to get your thoughts on federal prosecutors asking Ahmaud's mother if she would consider a plea deal for Ahmaud's killers. Her attorney, Lee Merritt, said that she declined. Sue Ann, I'd like your thoughts on that.
That's appropriate. I think that Ms. Wanda recognizes in this moment how important this case is and what it represents to the community. And so the fact that they're going to have to be tried in a federal hate crime case is huge. That's huge. That's not standard. That's not normal for us to have the opportunity to say this was done for a racist reason. We are gaslit so much. Don't talk about race. Everything's not about race. Why do you guys have to say this has to do with race when we're dealing with systemic racism every single day? So the fact that they're going to have to go through this process and it's going to be demonstrated what elements of the defendant's behavior violate federal law and is in fact racist and racially motivated is so important. It's so important for the Black community. It's so important. And so I'm glad that Ms. Wanda is going to endure having to go through this entire process again, really for all of us. So, I mean, I can't underscore how much strength she has, how much class she has, how as a mother who's going through a trauma and grieving at the same time, having to, you know, essentially carry part of the community on her back while going through this. It's just, it's amazing work that she's doing, and she doesn't even realize it.
It really
but
is.
Definitely us being to go through this federal trial,
so
I think that's going to be better. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Paul, real quick, I just want people to understand this agreement that would have put the 3 men in federal prison for 30 years. Isn't that right? But I'm trying to understand here, in addition to any prison time from the state, what would the difference have been if they're already serving life in prison? How much they can't get anything else?
There's still some differences. And I agree that this was a flex, and a strong Black woman, Black mother flex. And to me, it reminded me almost of Emmett Till, where she demanded an open casket. She rejected that trial, not on the basis of the years and the time and the accountability. She demanded it because she wants them to go through that hate trial. She wants them to be judged once again for their behavior. I celebrate that. And contextually, we have to examine the history of her forcing that trial to move forward by rejecting that plea on behalf of the U.S. Attorney's Office is because, in part, of the history that we have in Georgia, because up until recently, they did not have a hate crime. And so the only way that you could get to an evaluation of hate crime charges is at the federal level. So forcing that display, forcing that trial, I think is a really good symbol. I think is an empowerment from her. And I think is an opportunity for the remaining states that still don't have hate crimes. And there are still 3 states that don't have hate crimes in this country. That's Wyoming, South Carolina, and Arkansas. That it's a sign that things are possibly changing. And it's a sign on what we are not going to accept in this country, both from this mother and from this nation moving forward with these defendants. And so I'm celebrating that decision and for the reasons that I just talked about right now.
Yeah, I'm so glad you explained that, because it was really confusing, but that's really deep. You know, that breakdown of, you know, this is symbolic. This is about justice. This is not about getting more years. Thanks so much for that. Sue Ann and Paul, actually, I want you to stick with me on the other side of this break. I want to go over your predictions for what the federal trial will mean and what it will look like for these men. Stay with us. This is Making the Case. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking about today's sentencing for Ahmaud Arbery's killers, but it's not over for them. So what does it mean for the next trial for Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, and William Roddie Bryan? Back with me, BNC legal contributor Paul Henderson and criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson. Thank you both for sticking with us. We mentioned earlier that the Arbery family rejected a plea deal in the federal civil rights case against Ahmaud's killers, so it will move forward in just a few weeks. Sue Ann, I'll start with you. Why is it so important to see this federal case go on, and how long is something like this going to take?
Count one of the indictment in the federal case alleges that the McMichaels and Roddie interfered with Ahmaud Arbery's right to be in a public street because of his race. And so we're going to get to hear all about the Confederate flag that was on the truck that we kind of heard about but didn't really hear about, but it wasn't relevant in the state case. It's definitely going to be relevant in a case where all of the counts, but has direct impact on race. We're going to get to hear about the racial remarks that Travis McMichael made over Ahmaud Arbery's dead body when he was not rendering aid to Ahmaud Arbery. So we're going to talk a lot about the motivations of the McMichaels and Roddie Bryan in actually committing this crime. I know that obviously in this sentencing, Bryant was treated differently because the judge felt like he was kind of a late actor. He came in later, but he did acknowledge that he used his truck to kind of box in Ahmaud Arbery, as they admitted. I think that in the federal trial, we're all going to get that opportunity to think of the quiet part that we didn't say out loud, which is when we see that video, we see a lynch mob. You know, we know that they didn't talk to each other on the phone or plan it in advance. He saw two white guys chasing after a black guy and was like, yeah, that's a thing. They didn't need to have a premeditated conversation. They had almost some sort of cultural understanding that this was something that they needed to join in on. And those are the motivations and historical points that I think are going to come out in order to give substance to the federal prosecution.
So, Paul, help us through the real difference between the two cases when it comes to the actual charges, because I'm still confused here about how this works with, you know, chance for parole and no chance. What are the differences here?
Well, the difference is in a federal case, what will happen is that will take priority and precedence. And so those years matter. And if you get sentenced more severely in a federal case, that's what takes precedence because it is federal. And you know, I think we were talking earlier about what we can expect that's going to be different. You will see a lot of the same evidence and a lot of the same testimony that will be used from the state trial that we saw, but it will be colored, pun intended, with the explanation of race, because the federal charges mean that prosecutors are going to be forced to prove to the jury that it was motivated by race. And there's not any ambiguity in this case as to whether or not this was motivated by race. As we were just talking about, these individuals didn't even know each other well, and they were polarized collectively against race, against the race of Ahmaud Arbery. During the trial, they argued and talked about the fact, and this is what stood out to me and still stands out to me, the fact that he lived less than 2 miles away, and they constantly kept saying that he didn't belong there. And he did belong there because it was also his community. It's also where he lived. It's also he exercised. And those issues are going to be unpacked as it relates to race. And going on in the background is still the civil suit and the appeal from the state court that they're going to appeal and lose anyway, but that's going on as well.
So we're looking at now jury selection in the federal case. That's set to begin on February 7th. Now, selection in the state case took nearly 3 weeks because of how many people had close connections to those involved in the case. This time we are looking at something a little bit different. Sue Ann, weigh in on your thoughts on what we're going to see with this next jury selection?
I think the jury selection is going to be similar. I don't know if it'll take the same amount of time, because I think they're going to have a lot of pre-questionnaires to kind of, have a level playing field or a less bumpy playing field when they get into the voir dire. But I don't think it's going to be much different. It's essentially, the same process, finding people that can be fair and impartial in this case. I think, honestly, the gem and the thing that we haven't talked about a lot is that the jurors in the state case were primarily white women. And we were all thinking, this is going to go terribly bad. And I mean, they could come to the cookout too. They did a good job in evaluating the evidence.
Yeah, you know what? We do have to point that out. You're absolutely right. And I think we all have renewed faith in the system here after witnessing this. Of course, so much more ahead. We're going to, of course, get you to weigh in when that federal trial happens. But thank you so much, BNC legal contributor Paul Henderson and criminal defense attorney Sue Ann Robinson. Appreciate your time here.